two parts of my job. I'm a little dual-hatted. My day job, I work on overcoming technology challenges associated with information sharing. I also have the great privilege of being the executive director for the National Information Exchange Model. So on the info sharing piece, I am working on finding ways to help people who develop IT solutions to understand trust and understand why some people trust some things and not others. So as an example, people might not trust Facebook as much as they trust Amazon.com. And why is that, right? And so if we can understand why people trust systems, we can understand how we can build government systems that increase that trust. And increasing that trust will increase information sharing in communities that don't necessarily trust sharing, such as the law enforcement community or the intelligence community. So I work a lot on understanding trust and how to embed that into IT solutions. That's really exciting and new and innovative work that we're doing in the government. On the NEAM program, that's when I go home every day and I think, wow, how lucky am I to sit in the Department of Homeland Security but work on this breadth of issues for the community. We spend time working on finding ways to make lives better for children at risk, for missing children, for cyber security concerns, for agricultural crop reporting, for Homeland Security, law enforcement. So pretty much across the whole government spectrum, I get to work with communities who want to make something better. And it's like a fantastic job. I get to sort of work in my home agency, but work with a lot of other agencies and feel like I'm making a difference across many aspects of society. And that's what keeps me going. Is that it's hard work, it's long hours, but to say that I get to work on all of these issues that are really important to me personally, sort of keeps me coming to work every day and overcoming some of the challenges associated with, doing work in the federal government. So I think of trust in 4 areas, and I'm starting to think a lot through how people trust different systems in society. So I think about it in trust of the people I'm dealing with in the IT system, trust in the data. Those are the 2 we build a lot of controls around, or a lot of thought process in today's systems. But then there's trust in process and trust in governance. I can walk through a little bit about that differences. So if you take an example of the banking and credit cards, I know I could hand a stranger my credit card, and with some reasonable understanding that I can mitigate my risk if that stranger walks away and takes that credit card. I won't like it. I won't feel comfortable with it. But I know immediately I can call the bank and they can stop any credit card transaction. And then I won't be responsible for any sort of bad actors dealing with that credit card. So there's a process that I can trust and a governance around that, right? So the banks will prosecute, bad actors, and when they find them, they will go after finding fraud. And so I can trust that I don't always have to know the identity of a person to be able to trust the system for which I'm using that. And so that breaks everything that we're thinking about when we talk about the federal government. The first thing we talk about is understanding the identity of the person I'm dealing with. Well, what if that's not always as important? What if you really work as hard, not just about the identity, but it's the process and the governance and understanding what happens if something goes wrong? So let's take an example as it relates to information sharing. In the law enforcement world, if I'm a law enforcement investigator working on a case and I share information in a trusted environment, and I don't know if there's any process for which I can understand if that information is not used appropriately, and I don't understand if people are going to be penalized or there's some further action on it, then how would I trust to put my information in an information sharing environment? Because if I can't close that case, I don't get promoted, my career doesn't get incentive, I don't catch the bad guy, there's a lot of risk for me sharing. And so I need to trust something other than who I'm sharing with. I need to trust if something happens that I'm covered, that my career is covered, that this case is not at risk. And so if you go back to if we're just building information sharing systems around who's in the system, and I'm trusting the who, I think that we're not doing the full justice on trusting the process for protecting the information and sharing it, and then the governance for that. And so we talk a lot about sharing and trusting people and data, and I think we need to expand our thinking on that. I trust Amazon.com. I keep my credit card number, probably shouldn't tell you this, but I keep my credit card number readily handled on Amazon.com because I know I can cancel my credit card if something happens. But I also know that I get an extreme amount of value, and Amazon doesn't use my information inappropriate. They use it in a way to give me more advice on books I might like or things I might like based on my patterns. I instantly sort of have this gut instinct about not trusting Google when they're following me around because I'm not sure what they're doing with my information, but I don't seem to get a lot of value out of what they're doing. And so there's a value piece, and then there's a process governance piece that I think that we need to think through as we build our systems.